Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Brown, and I'm a technical audio designer with Digital Scorpion Interactive, with Magic Games. You can find our game Duck Paradox on Steam with that company, and sometimes known on socials as Adam Brown Audio. Today, we're going to be looking at a script that I've authored for the game Hit and Bit by Digital Scorpion Interactive. So, as you can see, this script here is titled Play and Attach Music. It is meant to do exactly that. So why couldn't we use an emitter? Well, what's a bit unique about the music in this game is that we need to. So we only need to attach some of the stems in a music track. We don't want to attach everything. Here's why. So we have situations where, like, let's say we're in the palace area, and in the palace area, we're gonna have like some just palatial, nice music going on. It's relatively serene, and but there's this bagpipe player out in the courtyard. Now, as you approach the courtyard and stuff, of course, we want you to hear the bagpipe player. He must be spatialized, obviously, and the thing is, like, we wanted him to be able to play sample accurate to the music. If we just have him as a separate spatialized, 3D emitter, we can't guarantee that, like, due to buffering and stuff, he's not going to start playing, even a few milliseconds late. If we're a few milliseconds late, you're still probably going to pick up on it. And while the player is not necessarily going to know why something's off, their ears are going to understand that something is off, and you're just not going to have that polish, that impact and stuff that you're going for, of course. So we turn to scripting in order to solve that problem. Let's talk about the Fmod setup just a little bit. So in Fmod, that means that, like, the event that's playing the music at that time, most of the tracks are 2D. The event itself is 2D. However, the bagpipe track on that is 3D. That's the one instance of a spatializer, on a track or a stem in that particular event, Fmod event. Cool. So then what that allows us to do is, like, when we attach the music instance, or attach that event instance anyway, to a game object that only the tracks with spatializers, in this case just the bagpipe track, they get attached to the object and spatialized, but everything else remains 2D. So we can guarantee then that the bagpipe player is playing exactly in time with the 2D music that you're hearing from the scene. So we make use of this in many ways in both the music and ambience, but we're looking at the music script today. Okay, so of course, we've got to start off with referencing the event, creating the instance. We've also got to set a variable to store the object that the music is attached to. We've also chosen, in our case, to create a singleton reference because we utilize something in this game called level streaming, meaning that we have, like, multiple scenes loaded within a kind of a meta scene, if you will. And this way, the game can seem open world, even though you only have a few scenes loaded at a time. So, of course, we had to prevent multiple instances of this. Okay, so we're also creating an instance here, and then I'm running this function here, just to set a default tag, basically, for the music to use. Do we need to do this? I don't think so. I don't believe I've been seeing null reference errors in the console, but I'm kind of using it for debug purposes temporarily, like whenever I turn that function on and off, just to kind of, like, watch the tag change over time. Okay, so then in our start function, we've got, we're essentially pressing play on the Fmod event here. On destroy, just kind of for some safety, we're stopping the event, we're detaching the instance if it's attached to something, and we're releasing it from memory. Okay, so then, here's the meat and bones of this whole thing. So we've got this function, attach, detach music on scene change. As you might, have noticed so far, nothing in the script is abbreviated name-wise. That's because we have a lot of juniors and stuff training on this project, and I want them to be able to understand as much as possible asynchronously. That way they can come to me with more informed questions about what's going on. Stuff like, we can have, higher level conversations rather than just like, what is this thing? Okay, so what does this do? Well, you have to send this function, of course, a string that essentially is a unity tag that we tag a game object with. I have a tag called no tag for music because I want to watch how these tags change over time whenever I'm debugging. That, of course, itself is a tag, but it's useful for our purposes rather than creating a null reference. Will I update that later? Sure, probably. So anyway, if the tag is no tag for music, then it's going to detach that music instance or the background music instance from the game, from any game object, because we're referring in this case to only one music event. Cool. So and then I'm using else to find, okay, so when it has any tag at all, set this variable to the game object that has the tag that we're feeding this. So it looks for that, of course, and attaches it. It looks for that and sets the variable. Cool. So then if it's not null, then we're going to attach that music instance to the game object. And I'm, of course, referencing directly the transform and the rigid body. I have a debugger down here, but it is temporarily turned off. So that's kind of what this does. All right, so what ends up using this function is the scene load script that we have somewhere else. Now this kind of helps to control our level streaming, and that like if you're standing in one scene, then it has each of the scenes around you loaded so that you can see those, or any scenes that have pieces that you can see based on where you're standing at that moment. That way we can unload them, and release from memory all the other scenes that are not being used currently. Cool. So, I have set tags for audio as, a helper function here, added into, that function. Cool. So in set tags for audio, we've got a switch case going on, and whatever the current scene is here, the current scene is going to be the scene that you're standing in, per other scripts that this script depends on. And yeah, so anyway, that's being set elsewhere. And so it's going to check the current scene name whenever that's run, and that's only run when the scene actually changes. It's not on update or something like that, so that makes this a relatively light function. Okay, it's going to read the name of that scene, and in any of these three cases, it's going to run that function from the play and attach music, feeding it this tag. So then it's going to find that bagpipe man that I was discussing earlier, and if you're in these scenes, and attach the music accordingly. Otherwise, the default is no tag for music. Will I update this and get rid of kind of those little helper things later? Yeah, probably. Right now, they're helping me for teaching and training purposes. Okay, so this function, why is it not set tags for music? And well, that's because this will also, once I get play and attach SFX ambience to list, whenever I get the ambience, which is treated like music tracks in this game, this script optimized and brought up to this basically the same format. I'm also going to be using this function to send tags through several functions in that in order to attach any one of 4 instances of different ambiences that we're kind of keeping track of in that scene. It might have to attach any, I think we attach 2 of those at a time to separate objects. But I guess I'd have to look again. So either way, we'd have the freedom to attach each of those as we see fit, and we can do all of that from this function here. So I know it's probably not too complicated for a lot of people here, especially for technical sound designers, but I wanted to kind of show you, I guess give you a look into what we're doing that I think is kind of unique to some games, and a little bit about what I like to work on at the moment. So if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for optimizing this or making it perform even better, which I guess is optimization, please reach out. I'd love to discuss this stuff, learn something, and work with anyone new, honestly. So I just want to build some cool stuff. All right, thank you for watching. Have a good